Reporting from Red State Watcher again, we have breaking news and a sensational new development. TV host David Pakman says he was told by a high-level source that 15 electors in states Trump won will refuse to vote for Donald Trump. This is terrible, if it's true, but I doubt it.
In a sensational new development, TV host David...
And here we have Paul Joseph Watson going to report to us.
Pakman says he was told by a high-level source that 15 electors in states that Trump won will refuse to vote for Donald Trump.
This is something that, if true, is absolutely huge. And
it's not just huge, it's insane. Okay? You're talking about lifelong party members of one party are going to vote, are not going to cast their vote for their party. You're also in most of the states, well, the biggest second reason is where's your proof? Who said it besides one person that you show? Where's the names? And not only that, if it is a known fact that most states, if the elector does not vote the way the public has voted for that sector, for that, I forgot what they call it, not sector, but precinct, I believe, then the vote doesn't count. So, you know, they have to vote that way, and they're fired, and they get a fine. So they don't really have a choice. But on top of that, you're saying that Republicans placing a vote for Donald Trump are going to just turn on the Republican Party? I don't believe it.
What my source told me is that there is a coalition of at least 15 electors, Trump electors, who have decided that they are not going to cast their electoral votes for Donald Trump on December 19th.
Pakman went on to say that the electors are lobbying other members of the Electoral College to not vote for Trump. The goal is to prevent Trump from getting the 270 electoral votes he requires to become president. If Trump loses 37 electoral votes, it will put him under the 270 benchmark and throw America into a constitutional crisis. One elector in Texas has already resigned, saying he will refuse to cast his electoral vote for Trump because he doesn't consider the president-elect biblically qualified.
Are you serious? When have we ever heard this one before? And look at this guy. Says, of the hundreds of angry messages that I have received, not one has made a convincing case from Scripture. Otherwise, he wrote on his blog, The Blessed Path. If Trump is not qualified in my role, both morally and historically, as an elected official as a vote to my conscience, then I cannot and will not vote for Donald Trump. Well, he's probably talking about his biblical, his Bible is the Quran.
To work in the White House. Jill Stein's recount could also throw the result in doubt in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Electors are also being bombarded with death threats and pressure to change their votes from Hillary supporters. This would be totally unprecedented, and it's a long shot, but it illustrates the left's desperation to do anything to sabotage Trump. Many of these electors will be breaking the law if they vote against.
This is not just the left. This is the devils. This is the devils doing whatever they can with people. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but princes and powers of the darkness and people in high places. So, you know, let's move on.
Against the will of the people in their states. But in most cases, the punishment is a fine of just $1,000, and many of them will happily pay that to try and keep Trump out of office. As with the recount, it's virtually impossible to prevent Trump from taking the presidency. But this dirty tricks campaign will help create the narrative that Trump's presidency is illegitimate, a narrative already being framed by the constant assertion that Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, derailing Trump's effort to implement significant policy changes within his first 100 days.
And this is a very good point that Paul Joseph Watson they're trying to make it look like Hillary Clinton should have got the election. So what this will cause, obviously, is civil unrest. More of it. That's right. That's what they're trying to do again. I mean, you see Obama's already trying to start war several different ways with Putin. And so you also see this civil unrest here. So we can try and get martial law going before Donald Trump is sworn in. But unfortunately, what Watson doesn't understand is the trump of God. The Mark Taylor prophecy that Donald Trump is the returning like Cyrus from the Bible, who will build a wall for this country, who will bring back the riches.
Could 15 or more electors really be planning to defy the democratic will of the American people, over 62 million of whom voted for Donald Trump?
And again, the only reason why God has done this with Cyrus and Donald Trump, as Donald Trump is as like a Cyrus, it's again the last call for the body of Christ to get ready. It's a great miracle, just like, and the Lord was speaking to me on this today, that it's just like the children of Israel being not the same, but similar to them being delivered from the hands of Pharaoh after being in oppression for 430 years. God orchestrated the whole thing. It's very similar. But the real story of Cyrus is where it's all about. Of course, I go into that in my study, which I show on the front of my channel. Another one from Red State Watcher is Francois Hollande has given us a wonderful breaking news. He's not going to run for re-election in 2017. Holland's approval rate is 4%. Well, it should be. After all, look at all the terrorist attacks from all the Muslims he let in to his country. His country hates him. But you know what? Here's the blatant truth. At least they're getting a correct poll. In America, Obama's probably worse. Oh yeah. Yet the mainstream media thinks they can lie to us, and we're going to swallow it that he has like a 52% approval rating. Crazy. Yeah. Moving on, Newsweek editor makes an admission about the infamous about recalled Hillary Clinton Madame President issue. Before the actual election, Newsweek printed and delivered 125,000 copies of the special commemorative edition in anticipation of Hillary Clinton's victory. A Newsweek editor admitted Wednesday that the issue was not proofread before it was shipped out, and no one on the staff at the magazine had any hand in writing it. Really? It must have come from Mars then. Wow. Lunacies.
Well, this is pretty embarrassing. Newsweek was forced to recall 125,000 copies of a special Madam President edition.
Ouch.
2 versions were printed, one for Trump and one for Clinton, but only the Clinton version was sent to newsstands on election night. How'd that happen? Here now is Matt Cooper, political editor for Newsweek. Matt, it's great to see you.
It's great to see you, Tucker.
Thank you. So,
So we're supposed to believe that only Hillary Clinton's issues went out and it was an accident, but not Donald Trump's?
Everyone makes screw-ups like this, and I'm not here to mock you for that. It's the content of it that was unbelievable, and it was so unbelievable, actually, that I got to put it on the screen. I want to read.
Now let's listen closely as Newsweek tries to save face through this man, tries to save their reputation.
Part of the introduction to the Madam President edition. It describes this as the tone of the election grew darker and more bizarre by the day. President-elect Hillary Clinton went high when her opponent and his supporters went even lower. No stranger to trudging through the mire of misogyny in her career as First Lady, Senator, and Secretary of State. President Clinton managed to push for an issues-based campaign, even as a handful of Trump's deplorable supporters, seeing the wide margin she held among female voters, called for repealing the 19th Amendment. It goes on and on. Fear and hate-based conservatism. I mean, it's not even, it's breathless, it's not even hagiographic. It's pornographic. It's Soviet in his devotion to Hillary Clinton. Who wrote this?
It's embarrassing, and let me tell you how it happened and what we're doing to make sure it doesn't happen again. Newsweek, like a lot of publications, puts out special commemorative issues.
Yeah.
You've probably seen them on the newsstands.
Yeah.
You know, 75th anniversary of D-Day,
Yeah.
or, you know, we have one out about Harrison Ford's acting career. This is a big part of the magazine business now.
Yeah.
And what we did for the election was the company that we subcontract to, as you said in the intro, produced two editions. One, President Trump, the other,
Right.
Madam President. They both, you know, the Madam President one mistakenly went out, which was the first embarrassment.
Yeah.
That should never have happened. And
But I can kind of see how it happened.
yeah, but it can happen. But really, as you say, the writing in this is, shall we say, not up to the editorial
Well, it's
standards
just
of
pure
Newsweek.
throne sniffing. I mean, it's just like DNC talking points. So, I mean,
No,
who on your staff wrote that?
Well, no one on our staff wrote it. Again, we subcontract out to a company.
But when you read it before it went out, what
well,
did you
no,
say?
we didn't, and that's part
What do
of
you
the
mean
problem.
you didn't read it before it went out?
See, we subcontract these commemorative issues to a company, and this is pretty common in the magazine business now. The company that does it for us does stuff for Reader's Digest or Scientific.
Wait, nobody.
Well, then maybe it was God just trying to let you all know that you've been lying. And you're going down. Trump Hammer of God speaks.
You read this before?
Well, let me just finish.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's sort of been done on a separate track, and we did not review it before it went out.
Well, but what if they had like reprinted Mein Kampf or something? I mean, you
Well, if they had
know.
reprinted Mein Kampf, that would have been even worse. There's no question. Look.
Well, but what if Fox just said we're going to give an hour of primetime air to like some random crazy person? We're not going to look at it before it goes on.
Well, look, this is a company that's done a lot of work for a lot.
Okay, it's possible that the DNC got involved in this, you know, shipping all these orders out of Madame President from Newsweek. It's possible, okay? But the problem is that he's not saying that, is he?
Out of other magazines, Scientific American, CBS, Disney, all kinds of places, and they generally do good work. In this case, they really did not, and what we're going to do from now on is really take a look at these things. Even though we didn't, you know, over at regular Newsweek didn't put it out, you know, we're ultimately responsible for the game.
You're an old friend of mine. I'm just going to say this out loud, and I'm a fan. That seems so reckless and crazy to let someone else take over your magazine and not even check what they're writing.
Yeah, well, again, it is a separate kind of track, but I hear you.
It's not only reckless and crazy, it's hard to believe. I just can't believe this dude. I don't believe him. There's no such thing as a magazine sending out their stuff to someone else. That's impossible, and not proofreading it before even knowing. That's just so reckless, you know. And what it is, the truth of it, it's just reckless for him to come off with this bold-faced lie here. Not buying it.
It's got the Newsweek name on it.
Yeah, it's right here, Newsweek.
Ultimately, we're going to bear responsibility. Well, that's like, you know, that's like with the World Series, you know.
Yeah, but it says Newsweek, and maybe I'm dumb. Like, if you know, Apple released an iPhone made in Bangladesh that didn't work, I would hold them responsible for it. You know what I mean?
No, look, there's no question the writing that you've cited, and it's one of the Daily Caller reporters did a good job sussing it out. Look, there's no question.
So so what kind of blew my mind was not just that, but some of the other coverage. So you've got this guy, Kurt Eichenwald, who works for you. He tweeted out in September this tweet. It says, "I believe Donald Trump was institutionalized in a mental hospital for a nervous breakdown, which is why he won't release his medical records." No evidence of that at all. Newsweek wouldn't answer any questions about why he did that or back up his claim. And then
No, but the truth is that Donald Trump's heart is fantastic. His blood pressure is perfect. And he never took a drink. He never smoked a cigarette. Never took a drink of alcohol. Never smoked a cigarette. And never smoked marijuana. That's the truth of that one.
And they allowed him to keep covering the campaign. Why? That seems really nutty to me, making an allegation like that and not backing it up.
Well, I can't speak to that tweet. I don't know about it. Let me just say this. I mean, Kurt's done some incredible reporting for Newsweek, so, you know, I'm 100%, you know, behind what he's done in the magazine in terms of, you know, sussing through Donald Trump's finances. He did a great cover a few weeks ago about how Trump's organization had violated the Cuban embargo.
I mean, I'm not saying everything he's writing is wrong or anything, or he's a bad person or anything, but he's such an anti-Trump advocate and it's so clear on his Twitter feed and in his pieces, you can't really pass him off as a reporter, can you?
Well, look, I think his writing, speaks for itself, and people are going to have to judge it as it is. But I think for the stories, leaving tweets aside, I think judging from the stories in Newsweek,
Did he write this?
I always think. Now you're just baiting me.
No, you're baiting me. Matt Kimber, great to see you. Thanks for doing it.
Congratulations
It was tough, but I appreciate you're a game man to come on. Thanks,
Ralph.
You get him, Tucker. Boy, he really chewed him up. And thank you for listening.